Hey guys, today's video is going to be on the new moon in Taurus that we have going on right now. I'm going to keep this very brief. First, I want to read the description that they wrote on Astro Matrix. I love the way they summarize this new moon and the meanings of it. You can go to astromatrix.org. They also have an app as well, which I use and I love it. New moon in Taurus, nurture your core values. Both La Luna and her ruler Venus are exalted in their respective signs during this lush new moon in Taurus. Here the moon is rich in sensuality, grounded, indulgent, and quite simply, delicious. Venus in her exaltation sign of Pisces is romantic, unconditionally loving, divinely inspired, and possessed of a deep sensitive vulnerability. And it's true because the moon is exalted in Taurus, and then the planet that Taurus rules, Venus, is exalted in Pisces right now. Even though Saturn is also there, restricting it, regardless, it's still a beautiful combination to have because that brings about actually quite a bit of healing in important areas within our lives. And Saturn is almost like the big daddy, right? I always refer to him as the big daddy. He teaches us lessons. He brings discipline into our lives and guides us through areas that we need to work through and fix within ourselves. And it's related to self-worth and self-love. Together, these symbols of the sacred feminine have the power to shift our physical world and initiate a more solid, yet still deeply soulful way of living. After all, that is what Venus is all about. And as the ruler of Taurus, she has the final say as to how events will unfold over these next several months. Taurian energy symbolizes the rose coming into its fullest bloom, gently, opulently releasing its scent as it unfurls. The journey ahead, as such, is gentle, tender, and soft, for the most part, at least. Yet there is a catch. Like always, roses, as delicate as they are, have their thorns. Mars, the god of war, meddles with this lunation via a square to both the luminaries. And we have that opposition, Mars and Pluto. So Leo, Mars is proud, energetic, creative, boldly self-expressive, also somewhat arrogant at times, possibly a little dramatic when you have that combo together. This energy is in stark contrast with the typical Taurian tenderness, revealing a tendency to potentially sacrifice the security that we've worked so hard for in order to assert our more egoic drives. It may even be a case where we've been quiet for far too long, with now being the moment in which we feel a deep urge to fight for what's rightfully ours. Neither strategy is likely to work, though, at least not in the long run, so short-term gratification does no one any favors. This new moon is not about brimming with frustration, whether that's directed towards our lovers, our financial situations, or our sense of security. It's also not about upsetting all our stability in a heated moment. It's about learning to tame that urge to lash out. So it's the strength card. Everything that the strength card embodies, which is taming our inner desires, taming our ego, and looking within, reflecting why is it that we want to have this reaction, or we're getting this reaction. Where is the source? It's about coming into alignment with both sides of ourselves. It's about not getting stuck in a comfort zone, thinking that things will simply happen. The shadow of Taurus can be lazy, indulgent, and stuck in a comfort zone, nor is it about forcing a situation. This new moon is about creating a delicate balance of knowing when to wait and when to take action. The true art of war lies in being patient, yet always being ready to spring into action when the time comes. So before we react in fierce stubbornness and anger and frustration, let's take a sweet moment to Smell the roses. And that is exactly what I've been doing. I love roses. Ah, I love roses. To create a strong grounding foundation for our garden to bloom, yet to ensure that what we plant, what we create, is fiercely guided by the flaming sword of Mars. Our intentions are precious, our relationships, our security, our roots, these all deserve the deepest of protection in a way that doesn't cut and burn, but rather preserves and nourishes what we hold most dear. So now I'm going to read the Sabian symbol. I want to make sure that's still on because sometimes it'll just turn off and then, yeah, I don't want to do that. I don't want to have to do this all over again. So the Sabian symbol for 7 to 8 degrees of Taurus, which is where this new moon is heading, it is a sleigh without snow. Alignment with the future, the importance and value of anticipating what inevitable changes are coming, making something out of nothing with creative optimism. Following a major setback and significant process of letting go, we must look forward to the future with optimism and imagination. What we have managed to learn and earn become the building blocks and resources of a future as yet to be created out of our thoughts. And it says here, a creative optimist will make something out of nothing. Although a sleigh is usually associated with snow, there could be many other uses for it that are not contingent upon a very specific set of natural phenomena. With the right imaginative attitude of mind, we will find sustainment in nature for all our needs to be met, since nature's key feature is prodigality. Every need we have can be satisfied by the resources we find available. If we expect to find abundance, then we will find it in life at every turn. It is a question of aligning ourselves elegantly with what is. Only then we'll be able to resonate with the full potential inherent in any set of circumstances. Our expectation itself is a creative force that attracts satisfaction. Surely this is how we cope with the everyday living. We rise to deal with whatever comes up, with whatever we can find close at hand. To do so often requires that we change our perception from pessimism to optimism. And then something out of nothing. There is magic in our ability to make something out of nothing. Firstly, we have to see that there can never be nothing, that there's always something available. Secondly, we need to use the mind as a tool for change. It can manipulate reality to conform to our imagination. What is the alternative? A life attitude based on needless acceptance of defeat. Tolerance of today's frustration in the vague hope of a better tomorrow. This viewpoint is indeed widespread and is the cause of so much disappointment and cynicism. Trust is a learned skill of mind. It requires that we look confidently upon the present and optimistically towards the future. With good humor, we downplay our frustrations, which we learn to interpret as signals that a mental readjustment is called for. Yeah. And then I looked up number 27, number 28, because that's like the two main days, right, of the new moon. Depending on where you are in the world and stuff, where it's going to hit, depends. But number 27, it's the path of self-discovery. It's signifying spiritual growth, trusting intuition, inner guidance. So it's that self-reflection, navigating life's challenges. Then number 28, it's about abundance. It's a positive energy, committing to a sense of self-belief that aids the other side, like being able to connect to our dreams and deeply with others in a different way. Infinite potential, especially since number 8 definitely represents that in itself. What else? Let's see. I guess I can go over the rising signs right now. anything else I wanted to talk about? I think that's it in regards to that. As I said before, there's that major square aspect that's happening between Taurus, Leo, and Aquarius, causing some confrontations in different areas of our lives. So, yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and get into the rising signs then. I'm going to just do that. Oh, I'll put this over here. Hold on a second. It is really hot. I'm back. All right, let's go over all the rising signs, shall we? So starting with Aries rising, of course, Aries. You guys have this happening in your second house and your, the new moon's in the second house, but we have the T-square happening with the second and the fifth and the 11th house. So, you know, Aries, I think that a lot of self-worth, your skills, all those things, I think maybe you're planning a lot for the future and what you want to do within your home, renovations possibly, like what you want to invest in. This is really bringing up topics of new investments, what you see for your future, your finances, of course. But this is also in the square aspect to your house of pleasure and your friendships. When you have Pluto in your 11th, which is where this big Pluto cycle is happening for next 2 decades, that signals like your friendships are changing. Who you aligned with in the past may no longer align with you anymore, or you guys have differences, even if you've known them for years. So there could be some kind of showdown between some friendships or even co-workers as well, from any group really. And in a way, it's like kind of, you feel like you're being confronted from the difference in opinions from someone else, and that you are going to have to make a decision between your own happiness versus trying to keep the peace with certain people. Because eventually it's not going to bring any happiness to you, right? If there's that friction there. So I think that's what this new moon is going to be really highlighting as well with this T-square, is that there's something related to your happiness and your future plans, your stability, and your self-worth when it comes to what you enjoy doing, your creativity, or your children, if you have any, and how you have fun with people that no longer align with you anymore, that are upset with you maybe in some way. Maybe they're saying like, you're not the same person anymore, and they get mad at you because you're not, they can't accept that you are changing, that you're shifting, that things are not the same. And it's not in a way for people to take personally, but it's just the way that life is, right? And that's not going to happen with everybody, but maybe there's a couple of them that you are experiencing that with. So that's what I would say for you. Main themes of this new moon. And for Taurus rising, you guys have this in your first house, right? So it's your house of self. And then you have the T-square happening between your 4th and your 10th house. So Taurus, I think this new moon cycle, you are starting to realize that there is a lot of shifts and changes in your career. There's a lot of changes within your home. And maybe sometimes it feels as though you're never going to get on top of that. Like things have become overwhelming, or you feel like you need to have this big shift and change because this is considering your first house. This is your house of self, and it is being affected by your career, your status, and your home life, your security, your foundation. And so what I see for you, Taurus, is this cycle is really going to be about you having confidence in yourself. And by having confidence in yourself, working on yourself, you will be able to find the right career that you need that will also mingle well with your home. Maybe that means you have to change your career. It might come to that. Maybe you have to shift and go to another occupation. Maybe you don't want to be employed by somebody anymore and you want to go into self-employment. You want to be your own boss. Whatever it is. Or maybe this signifies a move, that you need to move somewhere else. Or perhaps career and home are calling you to make those major decisions. And by making those major decisions throughout the next 6 months or so, it's going to be affecting how you see yourself, but you get to direct where that goes. You have the power to do that. So that's what this new moon is about for you, is recognizing that you've had Uranus in your first house. So it's been giving you a lot of these sparks of crazy genius, because that's what Uranus is. Uranus is the creative genius. Even though he's erratic and crazy as hell, he's a genius. And so there's been so many sparks of inspiration for you and so many different changes in yourself that I think that you have what it takes to get through this trying period. And I think that you will have help from others as well. I think that since the North Node is in your 11th as well, it's like you have friends that are going to come to your aid. That's what I have for you, Taurus. Gemini risings. Gemini risings. Okay, guys, you guys have this in your 12th house. 12th house is kind of unsure really how to describe what that could bring for a new moon. But what I would say is that there is a new start when it comes to your sense of relaxation, your sense of spirituality, your sense of the inner monk within you, right? Of your soul or your past self even, or ancestors. Something that is far away, but it is a part of you. And there's a new cycle that is involving this part of you, but it's deeply spiritual. Then we have this opposition that is happening, Leo in your 3rd and Aquarius in your 9th. This is connected to your 9th house and your 3rd house, both travel houses. With the 12th house being a highlight, it's almost like you're diving deep into all of your past experiences, all of your past journeys, how far you've come and what you've learned from those experiences, traveling to different places, meeting so many different people, and which ones truly inspired you and changed you in so many ways, and how it adds to your character, how it adds to who you are. And with the Mars and Pluto opposing each other, though, it could bring up topics of maybe something that was connected to a vacation or some travel opportunity, even a foreigner, someone that lives at a distance from you. Could either you're reflecting heavily on them, or there comes a moment where there is this, something is ignited, and it could when it's Mars and Pluto, normally that's not a positive. Maybe it could trigger something within you, though. Maybe it is related to something that has been a wound subconsciously. And so it's that very cycle. This very cycle is asking you to heal something in regards to that. But it could also be just changes in travel as well. Maybe you will decide to go on more trips, and that will add to your experience in your subconscious, your soul journey. So that could be it as well. All the lessons that you have gained and learned in good ways and bad ways are really coming to the forefront for you, I think. But it's what makes you the unique human being you are. And you will recognize how important all those lessons were, and how many more awesome experiences that you will have that will even add to that and make it even more beautiful and bountiful. So that's how I see it for you. Now on to Cancer rising. So Cancer, you guys have this in your 11th house of groups and friendships. There's a new start with friends, right? There's a new cycle involving the groups that you align with and hang out with. Then you have this showdown between your 2nd and 8th house. So Mars and Pluto. Pluto's in the 8th, right? And I made a video about that for Cancer risings. Pluto's going to be there for the next 2 decades. What that really means is that there is something in regards to people within your life that you are connected to. Your resources, connected to your self-value, your self-worth. Perhaps there is someone in your life that will be testing you, and you will have to stay grounded, knowing who you are. There could be a lot of experiences of, financial windfalls, of course, but that would be through the partner or loss. It could turn out either way. But the new cycle here is starting with your 11th house. The new moon is there. So it is crucial for you to find a group of people, friends that you can truly rely on. And that is what I'm seeing from this. Knowing who you can trust, making sure that you know your worth, because the 2nd house has Mars there. You will have what it takes to get through whatever difficulties arise. You could find that you could get into relationships that through friendships, right? Through your 11th house by meeting friends that can bring out a different side of you, which is, more secretive, 8th house related, because you have Pluto there. So it's going to bring about some transformative experiences for you. Trust me. But some will be exciting and some will be very heavy, right? And so, but this new moon in your 11th is about finding the right people to surround yourself with. And it's a new start with where you can meet a lot of different people that could add to your experience. Yeah, it's a time where you might not feel as though it'd be harder to be more self-reliant for you, maybe. You might have to feel as though you're relying on others more so than usual. But it's just the time where you're learning to trust as well. You're learning to trust others, but at the same time, knowing the right people to trust. So that's what I see for you. For Leo risings. All right, so for us Leo risings, never a dull moment. I need some water before I go into this one. So for us Leo risings, we have this new moon in our 10th house. There is a square from the 10th, new moon, a new start in our reputation, a new start in our career, what we want to do. What is our goal in life? What is our desire? What do we want to do? What are we passionate about? What do we want to be known for? There is a square aspect happening between our first house of self and the 7th house of others. Yes, we have new starts in our career. We have a lot of abundance coming our way. There's going to be a lot of new opportunities that we're going to receive. But that could come in conflict with your relation to other people. There could be some scuffles between power dynamics, right? You might have to learn when to stand up for yourself, because it's like Pluto is testing you and your confidence. Like, do you really want this for yourself? Or are you just talking? Or are you just saying it? Pluto is like antagonizing you. It's like, you're not going to do it. You're not strong enough. And I'll show you that I have more power over you, because it's in the 7th house of other people. So other people are going to possibly be exuding this type of energy towards you and making you feel a certain way. Keep in mind that it's not intentional. This is just the energy that it's going to feel. So we don't want to get into that victim mindset. Okay. It's just the energy at play. It's meant to test you. And I've been learning that myself. It's like, I'll catch myself more often now. Like when I start to feel like I'm a victim, like, oh my gosh, so-and-so is responsible for doing this. And then I realize, no, they're not. It's something within you that you need to take care of. So I've been learning that, and it's not easy, but it's needed. It's needed. And so we're being tested right now of our confidence. What do we really want? Who do we want in our lives? We're going to be asked this. Who do we see coming with us? Who's going to be there for us, wanting us to succeed? With this new moon in Taurus, in our 10th house, it's the house of the father as well. The father wants you to recognize your worth. Okay? And if you don't know your worth, you're not going to get the abundance. You're not going to get the Ace of Pentacles or the 10 of Pentacles. So, a new start with your relationship to self, and not needing validation from others, but learning to validate yourself and learning what is being mirrored to you from Pluto. Pluto being in the 7th house of others is the mirror, the shadow that is reflecting back your insecurities for a reason, so that you can grow, so that you can evolve, you can recognize what you deserve in life and where you want to be. So that is the theme for Leo risings. I'm here for it. All right, so now for Virgo rising. Virgo rising, you guys have this new moon in your 9th house. Travels, philosophy, higher education, learning skills, all that stuff. And then you have that T-square, which is between your 12th house and your 6th house. For Virgo risings, I think that there's a new cycle beginning within your spiritual house. Like, your relationship to spirituality and knowledge And it's triggered from the square that, or from the opposition between your 12th house of your subconscious and your 6th house of routines in everyday life. You are going to be learning how to restructure your daily life, making changes slowly but surely. But perhaps it's like right now, the first phase of it is in your 9th house. So maybe, honestly, I think what it is the next 6 months, it would be a good thing for you to kind of get out of your everyday humdrum routines, I guess. Not to say they're humdrum, but just to kind of switch it up. Maybe travel more and stuff while you can. You could have a lot of fruitful experiences, learning experiences with that 9th house there. Or you might have a desire naturally to want to travel more, and it helps you gain perspective, because with the 12th house or the 6th house having Pluto and Aquarius, and the 12th house having Mars here, it's like over the period of time while Pluto is transiting through your 6th for the next 2 decades, you're going to be going through a lot of transformation in regards to your health, and your body is going to go through a lot of changes. And there's going to be, whether it comes to like detoxing or addictions or any kind of thing that has been toxic for you, you're going to be shifting out of that for the next 2 decades. But the first phase of it is like right now, this new moon, you get to go on travels that could be beneficial to finding some new perspective, even could give you a new perspective on how to integrate something into your daily routine. That's how I can see that playing out. Yeah, because when you travel, that you learn new things that you can integrate into your daily life perspective-wise. And it has an effect. That's what I see for you. Yeah. And then Libra rising. You guys have this in your 8th house. There's a new moon in your 8th house. And the squaring aspect is coming from the 5th house and the 11th house. Yeah, so like there's definitely some changes in your creative life. I think that it has something to do, same thing I was saying with Aries, but kind of opposite, I guess, where it's like you are, like what you do is, it's not so much your friends that are putting on some heaviness or tension towards you about your changes, but it's more so you are shifting. You have something that you are very into, and it's like you don't really care about what happens. You're super obsessed with this new project, creativity, some fun thing that you just love doing. And it does have an effect on your friendships, for example. But like this could be connected to your work. Maybe it's a hobby and you also make money from it. So, you just get really, really zoned into it. And it's everything you want. And perhaps this is tied to, like I said, I mean, could be tied to your resources, because this new moon in the 8th house is a house of resources. So perhaps this is also to do with something you're doing with a partner as well that is creative, or something that you and a friend that is putting together. And it could be very beneficial. But again, this Mars in the 11th house, you could have some groups that are not pushing back a whole lot, but maybe they feel like they're being neglected in some way. They could make it seem like, because it's not really like that. Mars in the 11th could also mean that you could, through your creative endeavors and trying out new things, you find and come across new groups, perhaps connected to 8th house themes as well, which is taboo related. I mean, if you want to, you don't have to, but it's like those types of things. but it's not just taboo. I mean, it's the house of resources. So, mainly regarding like the finances of others. You could also get a inheritance as well. Down the line, of course, like within the next 6 months, you could be getting some help or inheritance somewhere. Let's see. Scorpio rising. Okay, you guys have this new moon in your 7th house. And then you have the T-square happening between the T-square to the new moon is from your 10th house to your 4th house. So for you guys, it's the opposite for you guys, like compared to Taurus. Basically, what that means is that there's a new start, a new cycle within your house of relationships. There is a new cycle beginning to how you relate to others, maybe to a partner, maybe to friendships, work relationships. But this is the Pluto, the death and rebirth is happening in your house of home. So, and it is in battle with whatever's going on within your career life. Perhaps there is some major shift. You've been going through a lot of family drama. There's been a lot of quarrels in the house because you have Pluto in the house of home, right? And it's been a struggle perhaps to kind of feel like you belong somewhere. You don't know like where you're going at times, or you have a hard time feeling like you belong somewhere because there's so many things that are shifting and changing. And then there's that opposition from the 10th. And so maybe this has something to do with your stability, right? With it's like your earnings, your reputation. It's like you're having a hard time also putting yourself out there because of all the shit that's going on in your home. Maybe like family childhood issues as well. This has been bringing up a lot of things that's been affecting your career zone, your abilities to put yourself out there, to be center stage in a way. And you have to kind of deal with those things first before you can really shine in the career sector. Perhaps that's what it is. You do have a new moon in your 7th house. So what I can see this as is you could meet people that can help you to get through this trying time. Meet someone or some people that are either friends or maybe a lover, or even just like a platonic relationship, family even, that is willing to help you through this process to help you get through those traumatic experiences or whatever things you're dealing with. Could be a female as well, because 7th house and new moon in Taurus being more, Venusian, right? So it could be a mother figure or some female could be. But they could help you through this process in some way and to help you evolve out of that, to heal those wounds of whatever has been festering. I think something to do with your relation to your mothers. If your mom, whether they're alive or not, there's some wound there. There is a wound there that has been holding you back. And so you are needing some help to heal that wound so that you can truly shine and be seen for the amazement that you are. And that's what I really see happening for you. You have a lot of transformational experiences coming up for you, Scorpio, for the next 2 decades. And by the time that it gets at least halfway through, I think that you're going to see how far you've come. It won't even take that long. I think that you will start to see how far you've come within the next couple of years even. So do not let your heart be troubled. All right, so now for Sagittarius risings, you guys are going to have this new moon in your 6th house. And the T-square that's going to be affecting this, or the T-square to it, is going to be your 9th house and your 3rd house. So for you guys, there is something changing in your everyday routines, your neighborhood, right? Perhaps you have a fallout with some neighbors, you have a fallout with roommates, friends are just not getting along, you're kind of just getting annoyed at certain people. This is involving your routines. And so maybe these are people that you've grown used to and you're like, what the hell's going on? There's something happening here. And because of that, you're thinking to yourself, okay, I'm just kind of focus on my own routines, my own self-care practices and all that. But with the 9th house also being highlighted here, you could be seeking to go on more of a long trip for yourself, right? To get some reflection. Also to take yourself out of, your humdrum routines, right? But it's like, in a way, it's kind of like you are also trying to gain some perspectives as to why you've been experiencing all these shifts and changes so close to home. You could even be having issues with your car, with your travels in some way. And with Mars being in the 9th, yeah, you could be running into some issues in regards to like your ability to travel certain areas. That's kind of what I'm getting from it. Trying to make do with how it's changing your schedule, your everyday schedule. Learning to adapt to the hiccups that are happening in your day-to-day. New moon in Taurus. What else? Yeah, that would definitely have an effect on your day-to-day, right? But I think you guys have been really focusing on your health regardless. That's been a huge focus for you guys to make a lot of changes to your health and well-being, your all that stuff. But with the 3rd house here, there's just some kind of, okay, I think what this is not just like those things you've had to adapt to and every day of whatever problems come up, but also the way that you've been communicating with others. I think there's been some kind of deep transformation within the way that you relate to others, the way that you think and communicate. Yeah, I think that there is, and that's going to be an ongoing transformation. So for the next 2 decades in your 3rd house. But this is also directly across the 9th. So with Mars there, it's like, if you're going back to school, then yes, that would make sense. Like you're going back to school and that's also a part of your routines. Like you're starting some new, because if you're going back to school, that means that you're going to add that to your routine, right? So it could involve that. If it's not involving that though, I would say in your beliefs and how you communicate your beliefs to others. That could also be it. But that's what I see for you guys. Capricorn rising, you guys are going to have this new moon or are having this new moon. I don't know why I'm saying going to this like past, like present, previous. Never mind. Okay. I'm jumbling my words. This new moon is in the 5th house for you guys. And that means there's a new start in your dating, perhaps, or your creativity, what you find fun. And the T-square is coming from the 2nd house and the 8th house. So you have Mars in the 8th, though, with Pluto in the 2nd. So I believe that there has been something that, and will be continuing to be this transformation of your self-worth. Like rebuilding, it feels like you're rebuilding your stability and your security to home, to finances. It might have been a struggle for you because you have, especially with like this aspect of Mars in the 8th, where it's like other people have been, I almost see this as like some kind of court situation. Honestly, that's how it looks to me. It's like going through divorce or going through like dividing assets and that is bringing about this deep transformation of your money, your income, and the way that all your possessions and your job and stuff, your habits. But with this new moon, it's going to be like this new start. You could, with the fifth house, maybe it could be two different things, like whether it's a divorce and you've been dealing with that and it's kind of ongoing, but the new cycle that's coming in is like a fresh new dating scene, or perhaps like a new building your relationship to your children, if you have any, and working on that, a new start in that. Or it could be within like your self-expression and creativity there that adds to rebuilding. And then the eighth house, it's kind of like you're learning to find intimacy in not just one way, but it's in a different way, like intimate moments or intimate experiences. Seeing the shadows of the dark sides of the loss, but also gain through the eyes of this new cycle is going to be trying to encourage you to also find the time to incorporate optimism into your life through the fifth house of joy, being childlike, allowing yourself to be unchained from darkness. So that's what I see for you. For Aquarius risings, you guys have this in your fourth house. The new moon is in your fourth, and you have the T-square aspecting from the first house and the seventh. So yeah, it's just reversed for you guys. Reversed from like Leo risings. Yeah, so I think for Aquarius risings, there is this new beginning within your home, right? The way that you relate to home, the way that you feel about your home, and your sense of self too. Like, other people are going to have to deal with the new you, whether they like it or not. That's how I see it, because you're the one that has Pluto in your first house. Pluto is not in the house of others. Pluto is in your house. So that means that no, you're not going to have to be dealing with other people and how they are, like Leo risings have to right now, which is like an ego death, but it's okay. It's needed. I understand it's needed. But yeah, Aquarius rising, you guys have Pluto in your first house. Okay. So that means people are going to have to deal with how you've changed, whether they freaking like it or not. And if they don't, that's their problem. In a way, Leo is also doing that, but it's a self-worth thing, and it's not as crazy extreme as for Aquarius risings. Like Aquarius, you have the right to be like, hey, I'm changing, deal with it. But also keep in mind that you don't want to get too egotistical either, right? So there's the balance, no matter what. But I think the lessons are mainly about you learning to trust your own self, to allow yourself to be, right? Allow yourself to have boundaries you need. Allow yourself to be like, don't assume who I am. Don't assume, maybe I'm not always unpredictable. Maybe others always automatically think that Aquarius is always unpredictable and they're always eccentric. I'm sorry, what? So you're going to put me inside of a box and say, oh, I'm just assuming that's how you are because that's what I hear, the label. So if that's not true, then you're making a statement, right? You're not letting others put a label on you, is what I'm trying to say. And then you have this new cycle in your house of home. So I think that what this could mean is that you are also kind of taking a stand when it comes to your family. Certain things might have to be said within the home, within your foundations, maybe to a mom, that you have to kind of speak your mind to, but in a, you know, in a controlled way. So it's kind of like you're also dealing with some wounds, possibly. Restructuring the way that you kind of perceive life is tied to the roots of your home. And so there's a new experience, a new cycle there for you. And yeah. So, and you could have, in with Mars in your seventh house, like you could, some people might be interested in you, right? Because you have Mars in your seventh house. So you could come across like somebody that's interested and they're like trying to hit on you, but they're like super duper intimidated by you. So they choose not to, but they still try to reach out and stuff. I don't know. All right, but last but not least, we have Pisces rising. So Pisces, you guys have this new moon in your third house. And that's like a new cycle in your community and stuff like that. Of course, you could get like a new car or something. That's possible, but there is some new start in the way that you're learning about something as well. And let's see. Yeah, so it's between, yeah, it's the opposite of Virgo. So it's like you have Pluto in your 12th, and Mars in the 6th. So, you know, I would say just be really careful with like psychedelic stuff. If you have Pluto in the 12th house, your body is going to be super duper sensitive, especially with Mars being in your 6th. You could be getting sick a lot. So I would highly advise you to be extra careful with that, because that can definitely, you can take a lot of damage to your body if you're not aware of what you're putting in. I mean, that goes for everyone all the time, but especially for you right now because of how volatile the aspect is between your 12th house and your 6th. But in the third house, this new moon here, I would say, yeah, you could meet some new people within like short travels, right? Yeah. Or just like doing something like going to the store, you meet someone, because 6th house is activated here with Mars, and you have the 3rd and the 12th house is long distance, but it's like maybe you come across somebody that you haven't talked to in a long time, and you guys hit it off again, right? It's like somebody you knew already but never really got to know. Could be that. Or this could also be like you find a new interest that's close to home, or some activity that you take up, or some hobby you take up that's like that's kind of like a new start, a new cycle for you, and you meet new people. But yeah, that's what I see for you guys. Anyways, that's what I have for you guys. I hope you guys liked it. I hope you guys liked it. And I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your new moon. Peace out.